Hey y'all, welcome back to the Laid Back Homestead. I'm Crystal, and today I wanted to do an update on all of the tomatoes that we started from seed. I have changed up my care routine for my baby plants or seedlings or whatever you want to call them, and I'm definitely getting some good results this year. And so I really wanted to document that and just kind of do a little bit of an update and touch on which varieties are really standing out, because there's definitely some that are just far surpassing others, and everything gets treated the same way. So I thought I would just come out here. I've got to do the chores anyway, and I would document it because it's also good for me to keep a record of what's working and what's not. So let's get started. So the first thing I look for in the morning time is for the sun to hit my hardening off table. Once I see that the entire table is getting sun, I know it's go time. I come into the greenhouse to determine what groups of plants are going to be hardening off today. My table is not big enough for everybody to come out every day. I have things organized into groups based off of the day that they were up potted. I have 5 groups total. I typically move out 2 groups a day. So typically groups 1 and 2 will go out together. The next day, groups 3 and 4. And group 5 is my peppers. So that really only goes out when the weather is permittable. Now with group 5 being peppers, I will only put these out if the weather is warm enough. Anything in the 50s, I will not put them out. If you know, you know. I do not need any more reasons for my peppers to be stunted this year. I'm already going to be getting a reduced harvest, so I really do try to play it safe with them. Today we are easily 70 degrees and we're going to be warm from here on out, it looks like, at least the next 2 weeks. So my peppers get to play catch up and start coming outside. So I've got everybody out here that's coming out for today. They're all going to receive about 4 hours of sunlight and wind, as you can see here. I live in a very breezy area, and it's very important that my plants, especially my baby plants, learn how to hold themselves up in the wind. It's only going to get windier from here. We're about to head into our rainy, stormy season, and plus anytime during the summer we can get hit with tropical weather. My plants have got to be sturdy enough to withstand all of that. The first step that I do after I take everybody out for the day is I come and I look and I see who needs watering right away. I do the double cup method, as you can see here, but I use these trays as the second cup, if you will. And I like to water them first thing when I take them out from the bottom. Because they are out here and because it is a double cup method, their roots are technically exposed, and I just don't want anybody going into shock while they're out here hardening off. Now, I do not live in an area where we get a lot of UV during the winter, so always test your hardening off process. I always recommend starting on a day where there's overcast if you can, but I'm far enough along into the season that I'm planting out in a week. So these guys, they've been getting hardened off now for several weeks. Now, I don't know if you can see, but we've got a lot of work to do before we can plant out. So I will probably have a final harvest video where we go through, take everything we can, chop and drop what we can't use. After a quick look at the weather forecast, I recognized that I can really leave my tomatoes out overnight. So I'm going to do that. And in order to do that, in order to have enough space to do that, I need to move my shelving unit back there out here. Plus, it'll give more plants a chance to harden off, which at this point in the season, that's really more important than not. I'm just trying to angle it so that the trays that I put on here will all get equal amounts of sun. So task one for the day is complete. I got everybody out here. Well, that's not true. I got the majority of things out here now that I've moved out my shelving unit. And I will be planting out this weekend for sure. So this is very important for them to start getting used to not only our daytime temperatures, but our nighttime temperatures as well. So a lot of these, maybe not all of them, but a good bit of them are going to stay out tonight. The ones that are still kind of small are going to move back into my greenhouse because I have grow lights in there. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I really only get a few hours of direct sunlight a day in my yard, in this particular yard. And so I do still have to use grow lights in my greenhouse. I have two types of grow lights in here, mainly just because I was buying them at different times. I have these little clip-on ones, which I actually do like these because they're adjustable. And I have 3 sets of those. And what I normally do is the plants that are super tall will end up on those shelves because I can adjust the lights to a certain extent. These lights up here are fixed, and that works great when your plants are this tall. But when your plants are babies, I do need to lift them to get them closer to the light. If not, they will end up leggy. And so we actually got these styrofoam cuts. Somebody was throwing them away, came in something that they had bought. So I have a few of those, and I use those every year to get my transplants and my seedlings as close to the light as possible. At this stage, for the majority of my plants, it's not necessary, and they're gonna grow along just fine. These are the groups today that did not get moved outside, just simply due to lack of space. So what I do is I have a little rotational system where I know that these guys are all gonna have to go out tomorrow. So I'm gonna move everybody to this second shelf, and the second shelf tells me you need to be moving them out the following day. I do check for water in their bottom tray as well. These guys were out yesterday, so they were watered, and they still have water in the bottom of their tray, so I don't need to bring in the hose. Now, if they were dry at the bottom of the tray, I would just drag my hose in here, keep everybody watered from the bottom so nobody dries out and goes into any type of shock. So once I have everybody out, I pretty much go about the rest of my chores for the day. Right now, there is just a lot to be done in the yard to prepare for planting out. That's going to be happening very quickly. And part of that process is also setting up some fail-safes I have to prevent pests. Now, one of the questions I get asked about a lot is my reflectors. As you can see some there, but I get a lot of questions about my reflectors. And normally people are asking because they want to know if they deter birds. The reality is, no, I have not found that they deter birds from pecking my tomatoes. They were free, and I use them solely as stakes for my tomato plants and pepper plants and anything else that may grow, long. Again, like I said, we're prone to tropical weather here during the summer. I need things to be kind of windproof to an extent. Now, what I have found that works is establishing an area in my yard for birds. And by that, I mean having a place dedicated for the birds to go to get food and water. Everything I've read has told me basically that birds really don't like tomatoes. They really only go after them if they're desperate. So I set up bird feeders last year and a bird bath in my yard on the opposite end, and I did not have a single tomato or pepper pecked at. Now, it won't stop mice, but I did not deal with bird pressure.
And that is why when King's Yard reached out to me to do a collaboration, I was really excited.
They sent me this bird feeder, and I absolutely love it. It's very sturdy, it's very well made, lifetime warranty, and it was super easy for me to get it assembled all by myself. I didn't have to have any help at all, and I got it up and I got it out. And they have been kind enough to offer a discount code that I will share with you, and I will have that linked below. The discount is good until May 24th, 2026. So if you are dealing with bird pressure in your yard, or you just simply want to draw more birds to your yard, I highly recommend you check them out. I found their prices to be already reasonable, and the fact that they were generous enough to even offer a coupon code is just blowing my mind. So if you're in the market for a bird feeder or really any bird care products, check out the link in the description box below. So at the end of the day, if I was in the beginning process of hardening off, I would pick everybody up. And there may be still a few nights this week where I will pick everybody up for the evening and put them back in the greenhouse. I don't foresee that being necessary, considering tomatoes can handle our nighttime temperatures here. But down here, we plant out early. My last frost date isn't until technically, I think, March 13th. But we get hot here so fast that if you try to wait, there is a strong chance you won't get a very good tomato harvest. So a lot of Louisiana gardeners, we roll the dice, we plant out early. My rule of thumb is I have backup plants. I don't plant everything out at once. I do not plant my peppers out until my nighttime temperatures are upper 50s, and honestly, I'm looking more for 60s. At the end of the day, when it's time to pick everybody up, this is when I will fertilize. And this is how I have been consistent with my fertilizer schedule, because it's just a no-brainer. Whoever's on the table gets fertilized for that day and put up. And whoever comes out the next day gets fertilized on that day and put up. And I keep everybody on the same type of fertilizer. Right after I transplant and I put everybody in their double cup, I will use diluted fish emulsion and bottom fertilize everybody. Now, that works well. It's a nice little healthy amount of nitrogen. It smells absolutely god-awful. And so I can only tolerate that for a couple of weeks. And then it's time for me to move on. So after a couple of weeks of getting fertilized with the fish emulsion, I use a diluted master blend fertilizer. So I already used the master blend fertilizer, which is, it's the master blend formula, calcium nitrate, and a little bit of Epsom salt. And I mix that up in my reservoirs, and that's how I grow everything hydroponically. So what I'll do is I'll just take a couple gallons out of one of my reservoirs, put it in a 5-gallon bucket, fill the rest up with water. So it's very dilute. It's just a little bit of nutrition for them. It's a more overall blend of nutrition for them at this point, not just nitrogen. And I will give that to everybody in the bottom of their tray. And the beauty of these trays, not only are they super thick and have lasted me many seasons, but all of the wells are connected. So I can just take 1 cup of my diluted fertilizer and pour it in, and it's going to distribute itself to the bottom of all of the cups. I don't have to go and individually fertilize each plant. For documentation purposes, I have 2 trays of tomatoes that have different varieties on them, and they have just been absolute beasts in growing. They have pretty much dwarfed and trumped everything else, all of the other varieties that I have growing. So these are going to be, I think, heavy hitters. We'll have to follow along and see, but I have a feeling with the way they are producing as transplants that they are going to do great things. So one of the standouts to me, because I have more than one too of this variety, is the speckled Roman. The speckled Roman, this is my first year growing it. It's a Roma style tomato that's got stripes or speckles on it. I'm really excited because it is the first time I'm going to be growing it, and I love a good paste tomato producer. So that will definitely be something that will be prioritized in my yard, especially considering how good they're looking. Then another new to me variety is the banana legs. This is a yellow type paste tomato. I mean, I grew the cream sausage last year, and I may have a few cream sausages out here, but so far banana legs is beating any of the other cream or yellow sausage type varieties that I have. Now, another one that has really popped up for me is the Saucy Lady. This is also new to me. That one is doing very well as well. Also, garden paste. Garden paste did amazing last year, and it looks to be on par to be a huge performer this year as well. Cannot say enough good things about garden paste. They were absolutely amazing. Now, when it comes to my slicers, the ones that I've noticed are Hillbilly and Fiji Improved. Those ones, when it comes to the slicers, have stood out the most as far as the fastest growth and the vigor. So everybody else at this point is pretty much level with each other. These guys just really stood out. And all I can say is that everybody's been treated the same. They were all started from seed on the same day. If you saw that video, you know I started 40 varieties of tomatoes. They've all been rotated through grow lights and outside when weather was permittable. And they've all received the exact same fertilizing and water schedule. So that's why they really did stand out to me. And if they continue and they produce as well as they have so far with their growth, then they will have permanent places in my yards, because a lot of these varieties are new to me. I'm always on the hunt for new tomato varieties. That's pretty much just what I do every year, looking for the best. So this is my daily routine for taking care of my seedlings. I'd love to know what yours is. Do you bottom water? Do you have them on, certain amounts of fertilizer, or even what fertilizer you use? Because I am always open to new suggestions and new ideas. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you're into gardening and homesteading content, I encourage you to subscribe. Until next time, stay blessed.